And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, good day to everyone. It is the 4th of July, the day that we have been looking for. We've got the Independence Day shirt on. A very happy 4th of July to all the people out there from the United States of America. If you're not, and you're international, whatever it is, party today because it's a great day to be alive because you get to listen to the Weighing In podcast with my man's back. There he is. The real Punk is finally back. I don't know if we want him. We'll talk about whether we're going to keep him or not, but Josh Thompson coming back from a beautiful vacation, it looked like. I hope you had a good time. It looked like you were enjoying yourself there, mister.
Yeah, there was no stress whatsoever. I didn't have to listen to Dave's screechy voice like a lot of the fans had commented in the comment section about, and his ugly rat-faced looks, those type of things. But hey, I am glad that you guys were able to run this show without me for once in your lives. I'm glad. Nothing would ever have worked properly without me. And let's just remember, okay, I want to remind everybody outside, everybody that listening to this show, this show only exists because of Josh Thompson. No, hey, you guys were awesome last week. I actually listened to you guys while I was out sitting on the beach with a Bahama Mama. And I was just enjoying the small little tiny waves crash on my fat toes. It was beautiful, man. It was nice to get out, get away, and enjoy some time with family and friends. And it was great, man. Did a lot of what's it called, free diving. And stuff. It was a wonderful place. Beautiful little area there, and hopefully we'll go back sometime. Maybe John, maybe you could come with us. You and
dude, I will
McCarthy.
Come.
But
go fishing.
Overall, it was great, man. It was great. Went fishing. We caught a shark. You don't bring them in. You just, as soon as you realize it's a shark, you kind of cut it loose. But it was kind of cool, little black tip reef shark. So it was pretty cool, man. Good experience, bunch of grouper, bunch of other fish I don't remember the names of, but yeah, it was fun. We had a great
just
time.
Something that swam.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just funny. Like I've never was a big fisherman, and I didn't really care for hunting. I love seeing them up close. I love seeing fish. I love seeing the animals up close. I don't know. That's just me. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to eat fish, and I like to eat elk and deer and bear sausage, all that shit. But I just never had the desire to go out there and kill it. So, anyways, great show last week, guys. Good job. Glad you guys were able to hold the fort down. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I know the crowd's probably thinking to themselves, "Man, he's already back. Shit, stay away longer, stay away longer." But good stuff. All right, well, hey, let's pop into some news.
It was a heavy load last week. I admit, my back, especially with my wrist, I'm a little sore right now, so I want to move around here a little bit. But we took care of business. We do have some news coming. We got a big fight coming up, and we do have some news, some questions being put out there. I don't know if you saw Conor McGregor's left elbow, but someone was saying he might have a staph infection on that sucker. He came back and said no. Did you take a look at that picture?
No, I didn't take a look at it. But look, even if he does have something, John, the fighter's gonna lie about it.
No kidding.
They're not gonna say, "Yeah, I have staph." Now you get the commissions involved. Like, okay, is it so contagious? Is it get him on antibiotics? The antibiotics will run its course before the time he's got to fight. It takes about 4 to 5 days. Time. Yeah, he's got time. The other thing is, the people are like, "Oh yeah, but he was on antibiotics." Your conditioning doesn't go away. He'll flush it out when he makes weight. He'll feel fine as long as he's not on antibiotics by the time he fights, or during that week.
Day before, day of.
Yeah, so if what he should be doing, and what most people do when they cut weight, they water load, say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Then they drip it down to almost nothing. That should flush all the antibiotics out of his system if he is on antibiotics. And then, Thursday, Friday, you make weight. And then Saturday, you whoop some of that. That's, so I think he's going to be fine. I mean, if he's got it all, if he already knows he has it and he's on antibiotics now, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I saw it and I go, look, it could be, it could be that, he scuffed his arm against, a railing or a side of a building or who knows, but he's not going to tell you, yes, I've got staph. That's because Conor's kind of smart.
Well, who released the story?
Don't ask me, man.
Someone just posted a picture on Twitter. Someone took a picture. Connor was on his bike cycling and, took a bunch of pictures, posted them on IG, Twitter. Someone took one of the pictures and then zoomed in on the elbow and then posted it and then, started a snowball effect from there.
True MMA journalism at its finest.
Baby.
At its finest. Oh, so you got it from a fan who was on a bike, who zoomed in on the elbow from 50 yards away. It's all pixelated. It gets to know. I mean, it's just this is the problem with they're doing whatever they can. MMA media is trying to do whatever they can to get people to hit the clicks and the likes button on their website.
That's
so
it.
And we're here doing the same thing right now, talking about it. But it's look, I mean, I understand the concern. If you're a fan, you're like, hey man, I want to see the best Conor McGregor fight the best Dustin Poirier. And so I get that, but the reality is that he would lie anyways about it. He's probably on the antibiotics. If he is on the antibiotics, it'll be flushed out of his system by the time it's fight time.
I agree.
So not much
no problem
to talk about. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, so with that, we're going to jump into the fight itself and do weighing in on the odds.
Let's talk about this fight because there's so much. I hear more. I don't want to say crap because it's not crap. It's someone's opinion, so it's important, and I want people to know that I care about everybody's opinion. You hear that, Josh? I care about your opinion. I really do.
Really?
So
it's so weird. I don't really get that vibe as
come on.
As John.
I'm sitting here caring.
As John talks over my opinion, it's like. I just continue to let you do it because I know old people, right? They have it set in their mind because if I stop you, you may forget what you're going to say. So
this is true. This is true. We know that I'm the one that has the memory problem.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This is so true. This is so true.
Man, I see more people talking about, well, Conor does, so good in rematches. Are people forgetting that he rematched Dustin in his last fight? This has nothing to do with rematching. This has to do with styles and what people do. And in the end, if Conor is that same guy that came into the cage in his last fight against Dustin and his style is similar to that guy, he's going to have problems again. Now, he can win the fight, especially in the first round. But if he continues with that heavy forward motion, lot of weight on the front leg, and a boxing approach, he's going to have problems with Dustin Poirier, and he's got to figure out that low leg kick because if he doesn't, he's going to end up in the same position of now he's being compromised. He doesn't have a base that takes away a lot of his power. All these things add up in the fight, and so really it's can Conor come back and be the Conor of, I want to say old, but the Conor of the past where he uses that, in and out motion. He's light on his front foot for the most part. He uses a more bladed stance. He uses the kicks that he was not using in that second fight. All of that is what really matters here because if you look at the odds, Dustin's a little bit of a favorite. He's minus 125 compared to a minus 105 for Conor, but it's basically a pick 'em fight. You're going with the person you think. The odds in this, as far as your thought process on who you're going to bet on, has nothing to do with it. This is, I think Conor's going to win, or I think Dustin's going to win.
Yeah, GSP came out and said that he thought that Conor was good in rematches, and this is, in the terms of a trilogy type fight. I want to remind everyone, okay, I'm going to give you a full breakdown as quick as I possibly can. The reason why this fight is so effective or is so interesting in terms of styles is they're both southpaw. And that's what made that low calf kick so effective. Had one of them been a conventional fighter being right-handed, then the inside it would be more of the lead leg doing the damage to the calf, and it's not as effective with as much power. Now, the reason why I think that Conor has a great chance of winning this rematch, it's not because he's mobile and because I think he's got to do all that regardless. He's got to go back to the movement. But what he also has got to do is he's got to go back to him kicking the calf himself. Like he said in the first fight, he didn't realize the effect of that calf kick because he really hasn't been fighting during the time the calf kick is just taken off and taken over the sport. And so now if he wants to go out there, I believe that he's got faster and harder kicks than Dustin Poirier. So if he goes out there right off and sets the precedent that he kicks first, whether right to the calf or not, to the leg or the calf, I think you could see Dustin being the one that is taking the more damage on that lead leg. Dustin was the one that knew that if I got to his lead leg first, it would slow his movement down, make him easier to punch, and that's exactly what happened in the second fight. Now, if Conor goes out and does the same thing, he moves in and out, avoids the shots, because he will not be able to, no matter how great a shape he's in. He's proven in the past, whether it was Nate Diaz or anybody else he's fought, his movement slows down significantly, probably around rounds 2.5 and 3. He slows down. So to think that he could stay moving and avoiding those calf kicks for 5 rounds it's not going to happen. Okay, no matter how good people say he is, which he is, he's phenomenal. I just don't think he's going to be able to do that for 5 rounds. Now, for 2.5, 3 rounds, he can cause enough damage to Dustin's calf, okay, as well as avoiding the damage to his. But as they both slow down, it's going to come down to who kicks the hardest. And I think right now it's going to be Conor McGregor if he gets back on that track, if he was back on track during his camp of letting the leg kicks go. Because to me, he's faster than Dustin. I feel like he's got a little bit more power in the kicks than Dustin. But can he get there and get out before getting kicked? Because now when someone would do something to me when I would fight, they would do it to me, and it hurt. I would try to do it back to them to let them know, like, hey, don't do that to me anymore. Because it works in training, it works in sparring as well. Hey, you kick me hard, I'm gonna kick you hard. You punch me hard, like there's just you hit me to the body, I'm gonna hit you to the body. So it makes them a little bit more hesitant to throw it again. Okay, now you're on to me. You know what I mean? So I think for Conor, if he comes out, sticks with the movement, stays long with the jab. The problem with being long with the jab and being both southpaw, when you jab in, he's going to be able to kick that leg. You know, so that's the other issue. And so he needs to mix it up a little bit. Go to the calf kick, go to the inside leg, and use that tip kick to keep Dustin away. If he does that, he should have a pretty successful night. I just think the longer the fight goes, I think it favors Dustin Poirier.
No doubt about it.
He's just durable.
This is one of those fights where you look, go back to the Dan Hooker fight. You know, when Dustin had that fight with Dan Hooker, it was a fantastic fight, but Dustin took a ton of punishment in the first 2 rounds, came on and won those last 3 rounds and was putting it on Dan at the end. That's the durability that he has, that you look at Conor. Conor's a tough dude. I'm not saying anything, but he slows down considerably in the fight. So if you're looking at this and if the fight ends early, in the first round, you got to look and say it's got to be Conor.
What's the over-under, John?
Over-under on it, my God, what is that? 150, minus 150 on the under of 1.5. And then minus 180 on the over of 1.5.
Plus 150.
I'm sorry, plus 150. I screwed up.
All right, so plus 150 on the over?
On the under. No, you get a round and a half at plus 150 and then minus 180 and anything over that. So
got it.
I honestly think it's going to go over it. I honestly think it's going to go into the second half of the second round, third round. I don't know if it's going to go into the championship rounds.
Wow. Okay, John. Let's have this conversation then. Who are you leaning towards? Because it may change between now and next time we do our show.
And I'm not.
You're a flip flopper, so I know you're a flip flopper.
I'm not leaning towards either guy. I know both guys can win this fight. Both guys are outstanding, and I've said, like we said on the last show, Dustin Poirier, in my opinion, has been the best lightweight in the world, for the last year and a half. Now, he hasn't fought Charles Oliveira, so there is that, question, because Charles has been fantastic too. I don't want to take anything away from him, but you'll just look at the lineup of people that Dustin has been fighting. He's been fantastic. So him and Charles, no doubt, are the 2 best lightweights as far as activity and wins. There is. Since Dustin moved up, we were talking about it before, since he moved up to lightweight from being that featherweight that I thought he was cutting too much weight, he's really got that one loss. He had the 2 fights with Eddie and we talked about and all that stuff, but he had the 1 loss against Khabib. Other than that, man, look at the people he ran through. I mean, Anthony Pettis and Justin Gaethje, and like I said, Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway, then Dan Hooker, then Conor McGregor. He's been phenomenal. So he's as good as any lightweight in the world when you're looking at what he's been doing in the last 3-4 years. He's been phenomenal, and he's durable. He took big shots in that second Conor fight, And
the Hooker fight, he took some big shots.
And the big thing about him, when you're watching him fight, it's not that, he's getting hit. It's his reaction to being hit. He used to get mad, come forward, and start to wing shots, trying to get it back. Now he gets hit, he steps out, he circles through, and now he comes back, resets, and let's do this again, and let me see what I can land. He doesn't get mad. He doesn't sit there and go, I have to get this back right now. He knows that it's okay, I'm going to get mine. And he's just fighting just way smarter than he did, when he was a little bit younger. And it's just, he's matured as a fighter. He's a smarter fighter. He's more dangerous by far, now at this age than he was, 6 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
And I look at what he brings to this. Yes, anybody can be put out, and Conor he's got great timing. He understands control of distance, and he's got power in his hands, and he can put any lightweight there is. I think that, I'm not sure with one shot, but obviously with, multitudes and volume, he can put anybody out, and he could do that to Dustin, but I just don't see it happening. And I think as the fight goes on, the fight goes towards Dustin Poirier. I think it starts out, it definitely in the first round, it favors Conor. It favors what Conor does. It favors a lot of things that, go in his, side with the attributes of the speed and the timing. But as the fight starts to progress, I think the fight starts to lean towards Dustin. So it's really the question of, do you believe that Dustin's going to be able to pull that fight into the second, third round? Now you have the ability to look at Conor's skill set just starting to slow down, and that becomes the problem for him. When he's able to control the distance and timing, and people can go back and say, well, he went 5 rounds with Nate Diaz. Yes, he did. He looked fantastic. But I want you to go back and think about it. When he was controlling the pace and location of the fight like he did in the first and second round, he was doing great. And when he wasn't able to, and someone was able to press him like in the third round, you saw him starting to have problems with cardio because he's a fast twitch muscle fiber athlete. It's not that he's not in shape. He's in shape, but it tends to, slope off into that, that cliff that starts to fall apart, and he needs that time to get things back. He was able to do that with Nate, but it was all about who was able to control the pace of the fight. If he can't control the pace of the fight with Dustin, it's going to be, lights out somewhere in that second and a half to third, maybe even fourth round. But I don't know. It's both guys can win, so that's what makes it fun.
No, I would agree with you. In terms of the longer the fight goes, I think it favors Dustin. I think the reason why it makes it easy for me to make that decision is because if you look at the Dan Hooker fight, Dan Hooker's long, he's lanky, and he was getting pieced up. Dustin was in the first couple rounds. But then, like you said, he's matured as a fighter. He's now, really taken into consideration what Mike Brown's done for him, the ATT group and coaches have done for him. He really just plots forward now and it systematically just starts picking you apart. And that's what happened in that fight with Dan Hooker. He realized that the game plan that he was running with wasn't working. He needed to put a little bit more pressure, start ripping the body. And once he started doing that, he started having success with everything else landing. I feel like he is now, like you said, mature enough to make those adjustments as the fight goes on instead of just biting his mouthpiece and going, I'm going to take your head off. And that is just that's fight IQ. That's just listening to your coaches and your corners, and the ones that have helped get you there. And he's a smart kid. He's a very smart young man. He understands how this game works. I mean, he's been around all the, some of the best fighters in the world since, before when he was still fighting at 145. But the one thing that I feel is very important is his durability. It's changed. Before, he was getting touched at the 145, he was getting in trouble sometimes, and he's a stud, man. He's a stud. He's got a chin. He's got a great chin. But I just think the weight cut itself was way too much. And I've told this story, I don't know how many times, but I met him when I trained with Frankie Edgar for the second Benson Henderson fight. And he was up in New Jersey in Toms River, and we were training together. And I was like looking at him going, how in the do you make 145? This kid was enormous. He's like 182, 184, whatever when I met him. I'm like, there's no way you make 145. and he was huge. And so I concede now at 155, he's just having such a successful career because he is durable. And we've seen in the past fighters that have cut too much weight and the durability goes down, a la, TJ Dillashaw. It got pieced up, touched up a little bit, and it's because, he sucked himself down to nothing, and that's kind of a crappy situation, when you see fighters that they've grown up losing weight, cutting weight for wrestling, whatever it is, they think they can just keep doing it. But as you get a little bit older, and then you got to remember, in wrestling, you're not getting clubbed in the head, you're not getting kicked in the, like your brain needs fluid in there to operate, properly. And so I'm glad that he went up to 55. I think his durability is going to play a factor, especially as this fight gets into the 4th and the 5th round. I think it's going to go 3.5 to 4. I think Conor's movement will get that thing at least into the 3rd round. His movement, like I said, if he stamps his name on the push kick, the toe kick to the body, like he'd like to use against Chad Mendez and other fighters, that'll keep Dustin at bay. No flashiness. You don't need to do the spinning shit, make yourself more tired, because Dustin will be there in the 4th and the 5th round. I get it if you want to throw one, but he tends to sometimes overthrow them as he gets desperate a little bit. And so he needs to make sure he doesn't do that. I think the toe kick to the body will keep the distance, so that'll take away that calf kick as well. And then I think he needs to set precedent that he can calf kick Dustin as well and make it hurt. If he does that right off the bat, he goes to the calf on Dustin, Dustin may be a little hesitant to start kicking himself. Because Dustin's had some problems as well with the calf kick. I'm trying to remember who he fought when it happened.
Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, I'll say he was having a hard time. He was struggling. He was kind of switching stance a little bit as well. Don't get me wrong, he made the adjustments.
Yep,
and Justin Gaethje, I think, kicks probably harder than Conor does. From what everyone tells me, I haven't been kicked by either one of them, but everyone tells me that Justin Gaethje's got fucking donkey kicks. So I would believe that Justin can be able to take at least, a good 4 or 5, depending on the mark and the position of the kick. But I think Conor's got to set the tempo right off the bat. I'm going to kick you in the calf first because I'm a little bit faster and fresh right now. And as the fight goes on, hopefully you'll stop kicking me because I'll kick you back, kind of situation. They end up boxing, and you go to the toe kick to keep it distant. I'll kick
you back.
That's really what it comes down to, though, John. I think fighters, they look at each other and they think, if you do it to me, I'm going to do it to you, and hopefully you'll stop doing it. It doesn't always work that way, but it lets him know, like, when you kick me hard, whether it's a toe kick or a tip kick or whatever it is, I'm going to try to do the same thing back. And if I land it clean, you're going to be like, oh, okay, if I do it again, he's going to do it again. I don't know if I can take another one of those. And so it's like you said, it's a toss-up fight. I believe it's a toss-up fight. It's a 50-50 fight. It really comes down to who can implement their game plan. I'm just pumped to watch it, cover it, do all the things that we're going to do. It's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be Conor before 3 rounds, and it's going to be Dustin after 3 rounds.
So I'm a little bit off of you. I think that it could be Conor 1 to 2, and then 3, 4, 5 is Dustin.
I could go with that. Yeah, I can go with that as well.
Close.
Yeah. What else we got?
Either of you are doing plus 2,000 for a submission from McGregor?
No, I am not going. I was thinking about it, but I'm not going to go plus 2,000 on McGregor for a submission. That probably is just not a good bet. But you could go. What do they have? Poirier by submission plus 600, possibility.
Yeah, that's a good bet.
Well, but the problem is Conor really doesn't shoot, and that's
he shoots when he gets
Dustin
tired.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. When Dustin catches guys, he catches them in that guillotine a lot of times. So,
but even McGregor by decision is plus 500. That's not bad either.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go decision. I just don't see it happening.
I would not take McGregor by decision. The longer that fight goes, in my opinion, that's not working towards Conor's strength.
Yeah, I don't see him winning the decision. He'd have to dominate the first 3 rounds and then skate by, I think, on the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. On the 4th and 5th, I mean. Yeah, I don't see him winning the decision. I think Dustin, the way he, like the Dan Hooker fight, he plotted forward. He took away his weapons by getting inside the boxing range. Conor needs distance to execute all the things he does very well. He's not a very good inside boxer. I mean, maybe in boxing he is, but when it comes to MMA, there's just too many tools that people can use. So he's not great in the clinch. If you look at the stuff that he did against Nate, Nate's not a great clincher either. And anybody
People
else
are going to kill you on this. They're going to go back to Cowboy Cerrone and say, Josh Thompson, what is wrong with you?
one
You don't
shoulder
know
strike,
anything.
one shoulder strike
Did you
changed
not
the
see him in
dynamic
the
of the
clinch
fight.
against Cowboy?
I did. One shoulder strike does not make you a good clincher. And if I'm gonna say who's the better clincher, who's the better boxer in close range, I'm gonna say that it's Dustin Poirier. And here's the thing, I like both of them a lot. You know, I think they're both phenomenal fighters. That's the thing. Like, I know Dustin a little, like, as in terms of, like, I know him, I've talked to him. I mean, outside of us doing the show with Connor, I never really had talked to him before. You know, so otherwise, I mean, they both seem like I've known Dustin in terms of, like, he's a very humble, very nice young man. So I like him a lot. Yeah. Anyways, good stuff. Dave, what else we got, bud?
No. So everyone, if you want to make these bets, go to mybookie.ag. We want you to go on there. You can sign in with the Weighing In podcast as your hashtag to put you in a position to bet on the Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier matchup. You do that, you can go to all these different things. You can even do little parlays to the different fights because there is Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. That's a good fight. And you do have Mr. Shuey tie against Greg Hardy in a heavyweight match. And that might end up with a big knockout. So you can always look at the parlays to make yourself more money if you don't want to put a lot of money out, but just go to mybookie.ag. Sign up, weighing in, and good luck to all of you.
Use that promo code Weighing In. They'll give you a little extra cash as well for your first initial deposit. So make sure you guys do that. And hey, if you guys don't want to bet on the fights, they also offer everything else as well. So they offer the finals of the NBA are coming up. You got hockey coming up as well, the finals there. Got a lot of things going on.
Over.
Oh, it's over already.
Goodbye.
God, I was gone all week.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's up 3-0.
Oh, are they? Damn.
Oh, yeah,
Damn.
The entire country of Canada is crying. Sorry, Canada.
Well, they haven't won the championship forever, man.
Oh, well, you know, and hockey is so huge. If you've never been to Canada, people, hockey is on the TVs. I don't care what time of year it is. When hockey is off season, they're still showing hockey. They are crazy. That is their game. They own it now. And the fact that their Habs are down 3-0 is not making them happy.
Yeah.
I guess
this will be the first back-to-back. This will be the first back-to-back since Crosby with the Penguins, right? I believe that was probably in what, 2008, 2008, 2009, I think is when it was. Maybe it was 2012. I can't remember. Sometime around that era is when the Pittsburgh Penguins had won back-to-back. All right, well, hey, let's give us something else there, podcast Dave.
All right, so we're going to hop into some news, and the first piece being Alexander Gustafsson returning at UFC London against Paul Craig.
Oh, I love Paul Craig. I think he's fun, but Alexander Gustafsson that's a hard matchup for Mr. Craig. That's a big step up as far as Paul Craig might be, looking at, I can Imanari roll, I can do it, I can jump guard. Man, Alexander Gustafsson in the stand-up is good. He's very difficult to take down. He's got good wrestling. That is not an easy fight for Paul Craig. That is not going to be one that's going to be a quick submission, I don't believe.
Paul Craig gets on top of him and subs him.
Whoa, look at you.
Paul Craig's in it. He's been this goes back to the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier situation when Conor came back. He's been inactive. Gus has been inactive, and he fought at heavyweight when he came back, correct? And then now he is this is going to be at 205, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has to be. It
has to be at Paul Craig. Paul Craig's at 205. I just think the inactivity, and he's also too. He hasn't had a win in a while, and so
you and I are going to bet on this.
I think the inactivity is going to be a factor.
No, let's bet.
I don't think his confidence is going to, I don't think his confidence is back. I don't think his confidence is there. And so, I love watching Gus fight. And I think you are right. 100% you're right. He's got amazing stand-up. But if you go back, and I know it's John Jones I'm talking about, but when people get on top of him, he's not always the same fighter, and
I agree with you.
Putting the heavy pressure. But Paul Craig likes to pull guard, which scares me a little bit of, in those terms. But he's damn good on the ground, And I think he'll be stronger than Gus. I don't know if he'll be able to take Gus down though. Like I agree with you. He may have to like pull him down. He may have to try to like drop to a leg or something like that to get him in there. I mean, I don't know how
he's going to eat a lot of shots.
And Gus is the type of guy that he's not stupid. He knows I'll just back out of your guard, get back up to your feet. He's not going to try to jump in there and play the guard game at all with him. So it does make for an interesting fight. But I like what I've seen out of Paul Craig lately. And those long limbs, man, those long limbs of Gus, it makes it a little easier for Paul Craig to hit the attacks. It's so weird. He's got kind of a really basic game, but he's very strong in that. And
he's good at pulling it in, and he hits it at the right time.
Yeah, it's very true. So. Very true. I mean, we just saw what he did to his last opponent. I know that last opponent is not Gus. I get that. I know he's not the same level as Gus. But, I mean, Gus is also getting a little bit older. Gus has been inactive. And, like, you see these fighters somewhat kind of do a 1 foot in, 1 foot out, thinking they're going to come back. And this ain't the sport to do that with. You want to do that shit, go to baseball, man.
I agree with you there.
Go to baseball. Go basketball. Oh, I kind of want to come back.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
Yeah. I mean, but it makes for an interesting fight. But I think Paul Craig gets him. Just my opinion.
Wow. Yeah. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm saying Gus gets it. Paul's just not good enough. His stand-up's not good enough. It's a glaring, weakness in his game overall. Not that, it's horrible, but it's not.
It's horrible. It's not horrible, but it's kind of horrible.
Well, okay, I'm almost. Here's my equation, and I think that Paul's more dynamic actually on the ground as far as the way he hits submissions. But he's basically like watching Jake.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well,
Jake was good on top. Jake wasn't that great off of his back. He had a good arm and guillotine and a hook sweep to get himself on top. Paul Craig likes to hang in that butterfly guard or that full guard.
That's exactly what I would say. I would say that Paul actually on his back is better than Jake.
Yes, he is.
Jake on top is better than Paul.
Yes.
But stand-up wise, they're very similar in that you're cringing at times going, oh, get that fight to the ground. And it's not that both guys have gone with guys. You've watched them and you go, man, he went 5 rounds with so-and-so, or he went 3 rounds with so-and-so in the stand. He was standing up a lot of it. Yeah. But I don't have confidence when he's on his feet. I have a lot of confidence when he's on his ground, when he's on the ground, even on his back or on top. But I just Gus is so good and so slick with the way he uses his stand up. In my opinion, Paul's going to be having to dive on the ground for things. And that's usually not a good way of winning a fight.
Yeah, that's true. Because then also, like, you have to remember, Gus is not going to get tired. He doesn't slow down. Like, even when he fought at heavyweight, he kind of slowed down a tiny bit because it was the weight. I believe the weight, just carrying the weight. But he's not going to get tired. Like, he's someone that fights a very smart fight majority of the time. I think Paul Craig's going to have a hard time getting him down. But if he does, I think if he can make Gus fight from his back or from the carrying his weight for 1 round, that will slow Gus down. And the takedowns will get a little easier as they go. I love Gus. But I think really what it comes down to is, to me, it's the biggest thing is the inactivity. Being inactive, and then you fought at heavyweight, now you're going out of 205, so probably you're in better shape, or you're just your performance and your time and everything will be better. But you've been inactive. There's nothing you can't supplement that. That's the problem. Like, yeah. We saw that in the Conor and Dustin fight in their last fight. So I think there's the potential of us seeing this again. So what else you got, Dave?
Next piece of news. Robert Whittaker admitting that trash talk from Israel got in his head, and he was very emotional the last fight. He was on some radio show, excuse me, and he said he told they brought up Israel and obviously the rematch, and he said, let's not talk about Israel. He's a shit person. A piece of shit is too rough, too harsh. He's a shithead. I don't like him. He doesn't like me. Two cats from two different paths that don't get along. And he continued, the last fight was kind of very emotional. I was in a bad place for the sport itself, for my career. I got emotional in that fight because I don't like him very much on top of everything else that was going on. I lost my cool. I wasn't really feeling like I should fight like I normally fight. Props to him. He got in my head. I think he's a shithead. So just kind of that, and then like with the rematch,
Are you
potential,
getting this shithead theme?
Yeah, a little bit.
Coming a little bit here.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think this goes to, we've talked about this, John. You've seen it, I'm sure, inside the
many
cage, reffing fights. You see it. Like, fighters don't fight well when they're angry. Like, there's this misconception that, like, oh, I'm going to get mad. Like, you hear guys at the bar all the time, oh, when I get mad, man, I just see red and just people just get hurt.
Yeah,
I'm like,
good.
Usually all right,
you
buddy.
see red and then you see nothing.
Yeah, like that red Independence Day shirt you got on.
Beautiful.
Yeah, buddy. ProWrestlingTees.com/Wayne and use the promo code and still real quick on that. Just want to let you guys know where to get one. Available only today, by the way. It shuts out in last day today. Yeah, it just you can't fight mad. Just I've fought mad a couple of times with some of my worst performances. And other fighters, I've seen other fighters get upset and get angry. You see it when fighters have to fight people from their same camp. Sometimes they get angry. That situation, I would say John Jones, Rashad Evans. Like, Rashad didn't look great. No. Don't get me wrong, John's amazing, but Rashad didn't look good, in that fight. When there's animosity, there's anger, there's people getting each other's heads. You don't fight right. You don't fight smart. You don't fight right. You're not the same fighter. So I could see that happening. But what's he going to do to combat it? That's the problem. Like, all he talked about is he keeps hating it. He doesn't like it. He's a shithead.
Your perfect example is, now here's the one thing I will say that was different. Conor McGregor against Dustin Poirier the first time. Conor absolutely got into Dustin's head. Just, he was renting space in there. He was living for 24 hours a day in there for a while. It got to Dustin to the point where Dustin wanted to kill him. He wanted to hurt him bad, and that usually leads to you not doing well in a fight because your emotions cannot be part of the fight game. Your brain being smart, you being relaxed, you being calm and thinking allows you to be effective in a fight. So, second fight, Conor didn't pull the same stuff and was not even trying to really get into Dustin's head much. He was kind of being nice to him, and you didn't have that same effect. And you saw Dustin going in there just to be a workmanlike effort, and look at what occurs. He didn't take those, chances of trying to go after someone when there was no reason to at that time. He did, things that were smart. When he got hit, he backed off, did all the things that we look at smart fighting being. And so when you're angry and someone hits you, you want to hit them back right away. And I honestly think, you go and you look at Robert Whittaker had a fight against Derek Brunson. You go and you watch that and you watch how out of control Derek Brunson was in that fight. And it was like, what are you doing? And it was almost like he was fighting angry. He was trying to hurt Robert Whittaker. And Robert Whittaker would just step back and land his shots. No emotion at all. And there shouldn't be that emotion. You should just be nice and relaxed. And I thought in his fight with Israel, he was trying to load up and knock Israel out with big one-punch shots, and he was getting tagged because of it, because that's what Izzy can do. He's that good with his counter-striking, and you load up, he's going to see it, and he's going to hurt you, and that's what happened. So if Robert Whittaker goes back into a rematch and puts all the emotion to the side and says, no, I'm just going to fight my game. You fight your game, I'll fight my game. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to let you get in my head. I'll touch you when I can touch you. And if it hurts you, you're going to see a smile on my face. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to hit you again till it does hurt you. And that's the way to look at it. I think he's right. I do think that he allowed Israel to get in his head. And when that happens, usually, not always, but usually, you're going to come out on the short end of that stick. So I think it's good that he's able to actually look at it and be honest with it and say, yep, he did.
Yeah, but he's got to be able to make the adjustments. That's the thing. Will he start going back to that once he starts getting touched a little bit from range? That's the thing. People get frustrated with Izzy, not so much because, sure, he does talk some shit, but that's the fight game. That's the fight game, though. They will talk shit. And you have to learn to just block all that out. What's hard to deal with is when you try to get in on someone who's long and lanky. I know everyone in the comments love when I say that. But when he's long and lanky and you can't reach him, and Whitaker having a hard time getting to him, trying to touch him. Then now you start throwing haymakers. What you saw with the Marvin Vettori fight is classic, like Izzy style, right? Let me hit you, let me touch you, make you reach, let me lunge in, all those things. That's what Izzy does best. You know, and John did it for the longest time. John Jones did it as well for the longest time. Connor as well. Making people lunge in and try to get to them. And all you're doing is opening yourself up, whether it's to the push kick, whether it's to the front thigh kick from John, like things like that. And the long jab, those are the things that are super effective. And all that does is build up frustration and makes you fight even harder, wants you to fight harder. And as you fight harder, guess what? It's like quicksand. You just start sinking lower and lower and lower, and there's nothing you can do the harder you fight. And that's kind of a position that I felt like Whitaker was in last time. But he started off mad. You may not start off mad this time, but by the second round, if you're not touching him, you start to get frustrated. And we've seen that with Marvin Vettori, Paulo Costa, those guys. They have a hard time getting to him because they can't reach him. And when they can't reach him, it gets frustrating. And then that's what builds up. It starts building up from there. And then as that goes on, Izzy starts going, I got you, bitch. I got you. And then that's even more frustrating. Like, you missed me. Or, I got you. All right. And like, it gets frustrating. And then more stuff adds up. And it's just, like I said, like quicksand. But we'll see how if he makes the adjustments. I really like Robert Whitaker as a fighter. He seems like a wonderful person. I don't know anything about Izzy, so other than the fact that he's a great fighter, I don't really read like a lot of the. I don't really read a lot of articles, you know, in terms of when they start talking shit.
I don't think you really read.
Yeah, I don't do math either. So,